what you said you talked to the team last night. I mean, obviously you're playing for this season, but how important is it just for the overall well-being of this thing to not get, to not lose the clubhouse, for these guys to totally not get dejected?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think, we're all going to go through, especially younger players, maybe haven't been through, some tough times like this. It reveals a lot about our character in the ball club, honestly. I look at it as a chance to look around and see who's handling it a certain way and who's not. And then if there's advice to give to somebody, say, hey man, like if you play this game long enough, you're going to go through stretches like this. You're going to feel like there's no hope. There's no way we're going to turn this thing around, maybe from a personal standpoint and from a team standpoint. So it's something you're gonna have to deal with. And it's how you deal with it in the end is how you come out of it. So, I felt like it was important to just let the team know, like, hey, nobody's giving up here. Nobody in this clubhouse has any quit in them. And, just to keep going, keep fighting. And sometimes you don't realize how close you may be, even though, we lose 10-1, we can come back the next day and beat them up 10-1. So I think it's important for our guys to keep pushing, keep fighting, but also try to find solutions. A lot of times we get clouded by the negativity of the moment, and we're just, feeling sorry for ourselves. We got our heads down. No, we're not going to do that. We got to figure out some solutions to solve some of these issues that are plaguing us on a daily basis. And that's what makes this game great, man. That's what makes the fight great. We got to come together in that, though. We can't be doing that on our own. Like, we need help. A lot of these guys need help. The staff needs to be there for them. I need to be there for them. They need to be there for each other. That's the only way we're gonna get out of this.
What are you learning about yourself personally? What do you feel like as a staff you guys are learning about yourselves?
I think we're always learning. I think that's the beauty of life. And then this game has taught me so much just about myself, but also just about how to get through times like this. I've been through them enough to know that, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just may not see it. But, I think our staff has been fantastic. We've been communicating and talking, and we're trying to every day come up with something, to talk about, to figure out with certain guys, with specific guys, as a team, everything. And it's not there is a little bit of negativity to it because we're not having results. But at the same time, there's a positive light at the end of it to say, hey, we got to do this to get back to where we want to be. And I think that's, I didn't sign up for this job. Our staff didn't sign up for this job thinking that we were always going to have it figured out. That was one thing I told them from day one. I said, this is a never-ending journey to try to figure this thing out. Because once we figured out with one guy, we got another guy to figure out. We got another guy to figure out, and it just never ends. And that's you got to love that as a coach. You got to love that as a staff member.
Mike Miner is a stubborn individual, which can be a fantastic quality. It can also hinder you at times. With him going through these struggles, where do you feel like he is now, and do you feel like he's close?
He is close. He's been open. He's been open to a lot of dialogue, trying to figure it out. He is stubborn. That's what kind of makes Mikey great. When he's stubborn in a good way, you can't really get him off of it, and he's really, really good, and he's consistently good. So right now we're just trying to get him to that place. He's been off a little bit, obviously. Some of his command issues, the ball's not kind of doing what it normally does. I know we talked about the velo. He could still pitch at 90, 91. He doesn't have to throw 93, 94. Like, he can still get plenty of outs. It's just, I think it's the rest of his pitches, because he's trying to generate some velo, out of, maybe it's not there right now. It may eventually get there as this season goes on, but he's trying to pitch. He's trying to gain more velo, which is causing him to kind of over-rotate and do some things mechanically, which is not putting his ball where he normally is. And, it's frustrating him because he's giving up hits on balls that he's like, I don't understand why that ball is going there. It should be going there. So we're just trying to work through that and get him on the right track to understand, if your velo ticks back up, great. If it doesn't, you're going to have to pitch it, 90, 91, which is perfectly fine.
That's it for me. Thanks, Woody.
Okay, questions, please. Let's see, TR.
You guys are listening, Allard and Lyles. Are you not ready to make any changes as far as your rotation at this point?
I think we're going to talk through it. Obviously, we're going to, discuss both those guys to see what they needed to do to get back on, if they can, get back to where we want them to be and we need them to be. But we're always kind of discussing that. Just because we listed them doesn't mean we can't make a change. It just means that as of right now, that's where we stand.
It appears that this team, I know you talked about this a little bit last night, but this team appears to be built to utilize the closer much better because of the expanded rosters than perhaps in previous years. How much is the opener? The opener. How much are you considering the opener?
Yeah, especially with both those guys, I think it would take a little heat off them. I think as long as our bullpen is rested and we have obviously available arms to kind of do that, I would be open to it. We got some tough opponents coming up, so maybe it would make sense for sure.
Who in your bullpen do you feel like would be well suited to be an opener? I know Chavez has done it in the past.
Yeah, I mean, Chavez did it for us last year. You look at a guy like Chabot, even a guy like Garcia. I mean, you could use. I mean, I don't know if the teams we face, maybe the Dodgers. You could. I don't know if I'd use Joely, but you could go with him just because the lefty. Kind of flip the lineup a little bit, force them to put a right-handed starting to the lineup. Oakland obviously has mostly righties, so you'd want to use a right-handed pitcher. I think if Goody was active, I think he might be active coming up on this homestand. He would be a guy that comes to mind, especially with the Oakland team, with those right-handed hitters at the top.
Thank you.
Next question, Alex.
Woody, do you have an update on Robinson Chirinos?
Yeah, he should be, as far as I know, he pretty much going to be activated as soon as we get home. I don't know exactly if it's the first day or the second day, but he's pretty much 100% right now.
So with Jose Trevino and the hot streak he's on, is there a leaning towards one way, or are you guys thinking about 3 catchers on the roster?
We're kind of thinking about all options, honestly. Definitely thinking about 3 catchers because we obviously value all 3 of those guys. We definitely value Mathis, and Jose's one of our hottest hitters right now and one of our best players. So it's a tough decision at the end of the day, but if we have to keep 3, we'll keep 3.
Thanks, Woody.
Evan.
Chris, you have been around this game long enough. This week. There's a lot of stuff going on this week. What in your mind is the position of this franchise, both for the short and long term, facing in the next week?
That's a pretty deep question right there, Evan.
I'm a deep man.
There's a lot of obviously internal conversations, with JD and I and the staff, and just figuring out where we kind of sit right now. I know I'm not going to make excuses, but we have had a lot of injuries that kind of put us in a different light. We've had a lot of struggle with certain guys that we were kind of depending on to kind of carry the load. I think that kind of, all those things being said, puts us in a position we're in right now. And, we have a tough homestand coming up, which I'm looking forward to. Obviously we're playing 2 pretty good teams. I want to see how our guys handle it. I think that's, how our guys handle it. Like I said, I'm looking, I tell our players this all the time. I don't care what our record is, where we stand. I'm always looking at this through a championship lens. So every player that we have, I'm looking at them. Are they trying to fulfill their responsibility of being a championship player? There's a lot that goes into that, and then these times expose that in a lot of ways. These times expose the guys that are willing to dig in their heels and say, I'm in. And then other guys, may not. And I've been around a lot of guys like that in my career. So, you never want to struggle, but you use these times to kind of evaluate, see what you have. Not only yourself, but like your staff, your players, everybody around. It's a good learning environment to see, okay, who's really going to be a part of this thing and who's not.
And does that also lead to the next week and potentially being a week of a transitional week in some ways?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're getting at, and it's you never know. I don't know what's going to happen, obviously, before that final day of August. We'll see. I know there'll be some action. There'll be talk about a lot of different things, and our record may or may not determine what we do or what we don't do. So either way, I'm excited about the future of, we got a lot of younger guys that are hungry to get up here, and then we may add or subtract. I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm excited. I'm always excited about the prospects of the future. We just got to start playing better baseball. That's all.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Other questions? CJ.
Hey, Woody, I ran across a number this morning. I was wondering if you could maybe help me put some context to it with Rugi, where any plate appearances that go deeper than 5 pitches for him, the numbers really start to drop. I think he's hitting like 129 since the beginning of last year on plate appearances that go deeper than 5 pitches. And I know the overall batting average hasn't been great, but I'm just curious if there's anything to that with his approach. Is he smart to be aggressive early because he starts to run into trouble when he gets deep into the count?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's I don't know why that number would be that way, but you never want to. You kind of want it the reverse. The more pitches you see, the typically you want to be better. You should have a better understanding of what that guy's trying to do and how his pitches move, and you've seen it, and should give you a better opportunity. I guess it goes to show he gets early in the count, he gets pitched to hit. His at bats over with, he does better. So that's something that maybe we'll discuss with him. Maybe it's just I don't know if it's a small sample. It's a pretty big sample, I guess, if it's from last year. But I don't really know what to say as far as like how that how we change that. I think that's more on him to kind of understand, like, this is how they're pitching me. I should be able to adjust and adapt. And I've seen his pitch. You should be in a better position, not a worse.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Other questions for Woody? Jeff.
You're probably of the belief too, but like in this day and age, it seems like once somebody has a few seasons that are not good, then people just assume he can't get better. But at what point does a player not get better? At what point do you give up, or do you never give up on a player?
No, I think the game kind of tells you. Listen, I'm an optimistic guy, but I do, get frustrated sometimes when I don't see growth, when I don't see learning, and I don't see like guys improve. And that doesn't mean they're going to have better numbers. That doesn't mean that their statistics are going to go through the roof and they're going to be, they're going to go from Justin Turner, who went from, kind of a mediocre player to a really good player. It's just when the player, it's on the players, honestly. Like everything is there for them to improve, whether that's physically, mentally, psychologically. We have everything we can do to make guys better. So in a lot of ways, when I see that plateau, and that's when you got to dig your heels in as a player. That's when you have to, okay, I got to figure out a way to get to that next level. And that's where the hunger, the desire, everything that we talk about, that I talk about in the organization, when you get players like that are driven, that are hungry to improve, they're going to improve. You know what I mean? They may plateau for a minute, but then they're going to go back up. They're going to keep fighting. They're going to keep figuring out, okay, how do I improve? How do I get better? What are teams trying to do to me? What are my weaknesses? And they're not afraid to have those conversations. If you're just kind of going along and just the same is going to be good, I'm just going to be comfortable, you're going to eventually not only plateau, but you're going to fall, because teams are going to figure you out. And once teams figure you out, it's a industry of collusion right now, because everybody has information. So it's not like it was in the past where you can get away with it for a while because the Tigers didn't know that you suck at inside pitches. They know. Everybody knows. And so you're naked to the league right now. And so it's on all players to kind of understand that. Try to figure out their flaws.
So then some of it on your end, then you got to make them hungry. You got to put the carrot in front of them. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways you can do that for sure. Sometimes I, have to have conversations I don't like having. If I feel like that innate hunger is not in them, it's hard to create that. All you can do is have a competitive environment that says you need to get improved. Whatever that means to that player. I would prefer to have it to be innate inside of them. That's what I've kind of told the organization. If you have that, then you don't have to poke and prod all the time. You don't have to play games. You just, hey, this guy's going to figure it out. He's going to he's going to always be searching for, answers. And that's what, I want a whole room full of guys like that. Now, not everybody's on that spectrum, but we can do the best we can do to provide some of that to those guys and say, hey, we have answers for you, but you need to meet us halfway. And pretty much most of our guys are that way. So it's not a huge issue with our club.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Any other questions? Levi?
Is there some sense on your end of, did you see the last 5 minutes that I've heard you speaking? I mean, it sounds like you, coming from the Dodgers and coming from an environment where you guys were at the top, you were winning, everybody seemed like, and it's easier, I think, maybe for guys to be driven if the championship is right there in sight, right? Is this any surprise to you, or has there been some adjustment or of expectations on your part when you are in a position now where you're having conversations about we're having to sort of push guys to be more hungry? Has that been an adjustment for you in the last year and a half?
I think so. But I think I was having those conversations in LA as well. And it's, to your point, you're right. It's a lot easier to look as though you're driven when you're on a championship caliber ball club. We have, in a lot of ways, probably hungrier guys here. There's a lot of hungry guys in the Dodgers. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot, but we also have some younger guys here that are absolutely, driven to succeed. They're just at the beginning stage of maybe that development to becoming great. And I don't know how far they're going to get. I hope that they get to the point where they're great players. So in the beginning stages, I guess, in some of these guys' development, it's different. The expectations are, I wouldn't say lower. They're just not as evolved as some of those guys that I had in LA are, as of right now. And that's fine. That's the path to getting to where we want to be as a group. So I guess to answer your question, I would say my expectations are wherever they need to be. As of right now, I don't mind where we're at. Like I said, I'm never taking my eye off that championship lens, no matter how bad or good we play. I want to make sure those guys don't lose sight of that as well, because it's easy to do that. It's easy to say, let's just lower our expectations and just, no, we're not supposed to win every day. Screw that. We're still going into every game expecting to win every game. And when we don't, we have to have discussions about why. If we don't do that, then we're not doing our part, to get better. And that's all I ask of these guys, man. It's yes, we go to win every game, but when we don't, let's have discussions about why we're not doing it. So that way we can improve faster instead of just treading water and just being okay with that.
Right on. Thank you.
With Minor and what you saw from him today, some encouraging signs, obviously, his ability to go 6. What is it about the long ball? And it's not just with him, but it seems like that's been you
it's
guys
just every time we
season.
put it, and some of these pitches aren't even that bad of pitches. I know I think it maybe some of those lead to a little bit of predictability at times. I know Hosmer's grand slam was off the plate in. Nola today was the only one that was middle of the plate. The other two were off. One of them, Evan White's the other day, was off the plate in. So I don't know if it's a predictability thing or just things happen, but they are killing us. We obviously pride ourselves in not giving up home runs, and that's kind of what we talk about as a pitching staff. But unfortunately, we're giving up a lot of them right now, and it's costing us. But I thought overall, Mikey did a better job. That was the best I've seen him throw in a while. He commanded, both sides. He used his changeup pretty well. It seemed like his pitches were moving like he wanted them to. And like I said, unfortunately, just the 3 home runs.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Other questions, please?
This last Saturday, you guys were 10-9, and we're talking about you guys being contenders, and then now we're talking about you guys being sellers. 60-game season, this has happened pretty quick. Are you guys? You're frustrated, but it's got to be kind of stunning too.
It is. It is stunning. It's, like you said, we were 10-9 not too long ago, and then we lose 8 in a row. So it is what it is, though. I mean, listen, we are where we are. We can't change that. All I know is we have to prepare for Oakland and come out and prepare to beat them tomorrow. We got our best guy on the mound tomorrow. We got to come out and try to win a baseball game tomorrow.
I know we talked about this the road doesn't get any easier here.
Yeah. I mean, as it is, like I said, it is what it is. You got to prepare, and you got to go out and compete against these guys. They're going to be ready for us, and we're going to be ready for them. And stranger things have happened. I've been on teams where we lost games we should have won, and one game against really good teams. So, we're going to come out and compete. That's all I can tell you.
Other questions? Evan?
Chris, with nobody in the stadium and when you're on a losing streak, it's easy for us, in this case, 1,500 miles away, to say something, the team doesn't look like it's got a ton of energy. But what's your take on where your team's kind of mental level is right now?
I'd say frustrated. I feel like it's as soon as the other team scores first, you hear like a sigh, kind of like, oh, you know what I mean? Anytime we hit a ball hard and get out, you have the same feeling. So we got to kind of erase that. We just got to, keep pushing through that. It always doesn't look good when you're not hitting. It always looks like you have no energy. Guys are in there, they're chirping, they're talking, they're doing all those things. But, until you start actually getting some success and getting some base runners and doing those things, it looks like you're dead. That's always been the case in this game. And, I'd prefer to do it the other way. Let's put a bunch of base runners out there and start looking like we have a bunch of energy, because I feel like they do. We just need some, a little bit of momentum go our way.
I know we addressed this a little bit before the game, but I gotta go back to this. Do you feel like you saw anything from Rugi today that constituted better approach in the at-bats, or anything that merits as progress?
Yeah, he hasn't been good the last couple of games. I mean, yesterday he hit a couple balls hard, but it hasn't, he hasn't been killing the ball. Those 4 games, I guess, after, I sat him down, he was good. I felt like he was driving balls, to the big part of the field. Balls were coming off his bat. I mean, he just missed a couple today, I guess, but, I've seen him a lot better. Just put it that way.